Hello fellow travellers, got a different video for you today. So if you want an update on the Farina stuff, wait to the end, there is some information there. But right now, I've got a different plan today, something I haven't done before, just doing a non-Farina video about Genshin, because I thought I had something interesting to show, and that's that this video will be my new waifu taking down my old waifu in terms of like boss killing and stuff. Turns out Arlie and Raiden, they're both bosses, they're both playable, and I have both of them. And I've been playing Raiden for quite a long time, and she's pretty much maxed out as far as I'm concerned. So she's got R1, her weapon. I wouldn't pull for more, that'd be insane. I went a long time using Skyward Spine because I would refuse to pull on a banner unless I wanted both weapons, and this eventually turned up on her latest release. I have her at C2. This is as far as I would take pretty much any character unless they really just did everything for me. I don't like to pull for constellations to make a character way too powerful, but I do like to kind of sometimes push them up to the point where they're a little special, a little bit crazy sometimes. So yeah, got a C2, and then artifact-wise, I worked on this for a long time. Her artifacts are pretty stellar, so we're looking at like 40-odd% crit value there with ER and attack. About the same here, again with ER and attack and an extra ER roll. Sans was the last one that I got. This took ages to get. This took like almost 2 years to get. I wasn't until Fontaine before I got an energy recharge Sans that actually had more than maybe 2 rolls into crit. So this one took ages, but it's really good. I got this insane. I've had it for ages, and it's basically irreplaceable. One of the best on the account. The only piece that isn't super good is the helm, and it's still decent enough. I'm not farming this set anymore to get a better one. It's unnecessary. Like this is done in my eyes. This is my Raiden. So here's my Arlie. So she came out 3 days ago, so it's early days on that. I have her with a deathmatch. I did put her on Skyward Spine, but the energy recharge is useless, basically, and the refinement stuff is fine, but nothing special. Whereas this, crit rate, super good, gets me pretty high up that, and it's got attack percentage as a refinement rank, and defense is actually occasionally relevant. She is somewhat squishy, but less squishy because I have her C2 as well. I've saved up for a long time for this character, really enjoying playing her, really cool. So, and this gives her some resistance to elemental damage and physical damage, in addition to the much more important stuff on there. But staying alive is real good, as we'll see now. Last thing is her artifacts. So I have her on Shimenawa's because I have her C2. I haven't heard anyone actually talk about this, but if you actually look at it, if you've got C2, rather than setting up your rotation with her skill, switching out and doing all of your other characters' bursts and so on, and switching back, activating, getting your bond, and then annihilating, you can do all the setup beforehand, switch to her, then use her elemental skill, and immediately go into the charge attack, which gets you your buff, and 50% increased attack damage with both your charge attack and your normals for 10 seconds, which is real good when you want to burst them down in the first part of your normal attack rotation. But as you'll see later in the video, I actually switch off of this set to Gladiator because Raiden has a habit of just putting up a big old shield and just saying, nope, I'm just countering everything. So it's a pretty decent set that I've got. So we're looking at like 36, 37 crit value with attack percentage. Then we've got, what's this, around 30 crit value with some attack percentage again. Sans is pretty decent too. 30, what's that, 35-ish, something like that. Crit value and some EM. Goblet's pretty damn good. Again, like 35 crit value, 63 EM, really happy with this one. And the Circlet, which is crit value, energy recharge, and attack percentage. Of course, I will be switching to her new set once I've got it, but this is what I got right now. And I think that's everything characters. But the challenge today is to go and take down Raiden with Arlie, and I will pass over to the footage of that now. Enjoy, everyone. Right, let's move into the first attempt. So, please do not be too critical of how well I'm playing. This is literally the first time I've tried to take on a challenge like this, and it's a brand new character. I've played it like 2-3 days. I literally haven't put together a full team and taken it into the Abyss yet, so this is me just kind of playing around trying to get a feel for the fight. So here, just trying to pick out the real one, spotted it in the end. What's kind of nice is that when you're hitting these fake versions, it doesn't use up your blood bond, your bond of life. so it doesn't eat through that. However, annoyingly, when Raiden is doing her blocking, it totally does. So if she's sat there just going useless or pitiful or whatever she's saying, and she's just blocking all your attacks, I'm still wasting my Bond of Life. So here, I'm just losing that, doing no damage, and just running myself out of damage. Terrible dodging here. I've also run myself pretty low on health, but I have still got my burst. Problem is, I don't really think to use it, sadly. So at this, I'm like, oh, this is a big attack. I need to figure out how I'll be dodging this. I haven't seen it in quite a while, because normally a killer before this happens. And did you see, I actually did start the dodge, but she just pauses you in place and killed me. I needed to run out into the outer area, but hopefully not take too many ticks of damage before then. But yeah, that was the first attempt. Oh, I was just showing here how pointless the restart function is, because you start with no burst and like a third health, so completely useless. Anyway, so onto the second attempt. I went for the same apply elemental skill and charge attack to get my bond up, but this time she went for a faster attack and just knocked me back immediately. So I do think from then on, I probably made a mistake a few times, but I tried to wait for her first attack and then apply it. Didn't necessarily learn that straight after this one, but going back, it's fine. Right, I applied that to her, attacked this, which I think is the right way to do it, because I would apply the buff to her so that it's ready to go, then break down the prism thing that she puts out there, activate the skill, and so on. I'm still getting very used to this attack. There was no point using the burst there, because it just wiped out my Bond of Life and so on, but it's fine. I said, just still getting used to it. Trying to get what damage in as I can. So I managed to get out and take down the pylon, or whatever they're called. Got back into the fight, but she pretty much dodges away immediately. Managed to apply and get my full buff going just before she switches to the next phase. However, I'm down to basically no health, and I've used my burst already, so... Failed. Absolute fail. Oh well, right. And then we move into the third try. Again, I fail at the very start, apply, and then get hit out of the first attack. One problem I had was that the artifact set that I was using only has a 10-second duration on the buff. So anytime that I applied, activated, and started doing real damage, if she started blocking, that was it. Like, I was losing a huge amount of my damage, because any delayed time means that I'm then just running out of that Shimon Hours buff, which is a real pain. Again, she's just in block mode right now. I've got my burst ready. I don't want to use it straight away because I know I've got a lot of healing to do. Happily, taking this thing down doesn't use up my blood bond, so I was able to use that, get a little bit of damage in, and then activate and go for a load more. Still holding on to the burst for now, just so that I'm ready for the phase change, which should be coming up fairly soon. And then I completely fluff the entire fight by using my burst, which switches me back to non-pyro damage, and means that I cannot heal after the big damage hits me, so I just reset that one.
This world, a fleeting shadow.
I honestly, I think, found the first phase probably harder than the second. Maybe it was just because the second phase was just about... It wasn't about maximizing damage, it was really just about trying to get that shield down. But while avoiding pretty much more telegraphed attacks to a certain extent, Raiden in the first form just zips around all over the place. Honestly, I do not recognize the specific attacks that well. Most of the time when you're fighting a boss like this, you're not necessarily paying attention to every individual attack, you're just paying attention to the really big ones, which in the second phase are most of them, but at least you know which is coming up generally. Whereas first phase it's like, oh, she's just going to zip around and try and hack and slash you down to death. So this one, I know I have to pay attention to. Really big animation, everything, so really obvious. Really don't want to get hit by this. This time I managed to get out correctly and then ran back in and got hit by the big hit. I thought I'd already dodged it, so I ran back in and then just died. I recognised that I should probably wait until that first attack before activating my own damage. Unfortunately, ran into that same problem where I applied it, activated it, got my blood bond, and then she just goes into block mode. So I pretty much have done no damage with the artifact set. Managed to get a little bit of damage on her here. I haven't taken too much damage yet, but I'm pretty sure that changes soon. hack down this thing. It looks like a good attempt from the start. I was fairly happy because I now have her in lockdown, doing the maximum damage I can. I get a few like 44Ks near the start, which is really nice at the start of the rotation. Now down to like 20k. Arlie's damage is very front-loaded, so you get a ton of damage right at the start of the combo and less throughout, which is why I actually kind of like Shimenawa's for a C2, because the damage that matters most is what you're getting the 50% increase on. And I'm still using that set so far. Took a few hits, gone down to real low health. I can see that the phase is about to change, so I just go for the burst now, maybe get a bit more damage in potentially, but I'm not too worried about it now. I know that I'm pretty much going to be able to kill her before the end of after the second phase, so wasn't really aiming for damage, but then I took like 13k damage in almost no time. So now I'm trying to clear the shield while staying behind her, and this messed me up. So I was right at the edge of the arena, but I did not realise, and I just could not dodge it. You run into the wall, but you cannot see the wall, and then you do not have time to get back to the other side, so it just ended what was looking fairly promising until the extra damage I took at the start of that phase.
Pathetic.
Again, she's blocking, she's telling me how pathetic I am. Look, I know, we're 5 phases in and 5 fights in, and I haven't managed to get significantly through phase 2 yet, but it does pick up eventually. Managed to get hit by that one, not happy about that. Normally I'm not too bad at that, and that I was annoyed about because I spotted that she was going to do that big AoE, but I still did not get out of time and didn't get the attack dodge in. That was good damage. Considering that she wasn't stunned, I was really happy with that, because she's about to use this, so I get to stun this thing down, and then combo a load more damage into her while she can't do anything. Super nice. So a little bit of damage there, activate, charge attack, go into my full 40Ks, you can see the damage dropping off, because that's how it works. Go into the burst to heal up, and now I have to deal with these things with no damage, and just take all of that. So I pretty much ruined the fight at that moment by hitting my burst too early. Really poor decision considering how well it was going, and then unable to dodge everything. Staying behind is a good tactic there, but yeah, she can just turn and slash at you. Right, so I decided at this point that Shimenawa's was not the right decision. So normally in a fight I'd be quite happy with it because it gives you all the damage up front along with the highest damage part of your kit on Arlie. At C2, ignore it at C0, it's not good there. So what I do is I switch over to a worse gladiator set, knowing that because she just blocks after using my combo sometimes, like, you know, applying the elemental skill and then charge attacking, I'm just losing that damage, so I might as well just go with something that's lower damage but more consistent, so I'm getting the 35%, but for the entire duration. Sadly, my gladiator set is not as good, and I had to switch to using an attack percentage goblet. Not perfect, but I just did not have any good helms on the gladiator set, even after playing for like 2.5 years. As you can see, the other pieces are still pretty good, like Flower, Feather, and Sands, pretty good. The goblet had to then be on set because of my lack of a helm, which made it attack, but it was a good attack percentage goblet, so not so bad. And then the helm was the best helm that I have just from generic helms on my account, basically. Toma had been holding on to my gladiator pieces because before Arlie came out, I had stacked up 2 other characters with potential sets so that I could then chuck them on her and just see how she could play, basically just switching between the 2 sets by finding the character and just switching them all over. And I was also looking at between 2 different weapons. The Skyward Spine, which turns out is absolutely useless for her because she really doesn't need energy recharge. And the Deathmatch, which is what I've ended up going with for the time being until at some future point in time I end up getting her signature, which I will, but only when it's on the banner, where I'm happy to get either weapon on the banner, because I do not like rolling on a banner where half of the successes, if I win the 75% chance of getting the on-banner weapon, and then I still lose the 50% chance to get a weapon I'm not going to use, feels super bad, so I'm not going with that. Anyway, we're now switched over to the gladiator set. You can see my new stats. Still pretty good crit rate and crit damage. My attack has gone up by like 400. So we're now hitting harder on that front. However, no longer got the pyro damage bonus. Not the end of the world though, and we'll go back into the next fight. So I want to point out at the start of this fight, look at the dodge. I dodged with the skill to ignore that initial attack and then got in some damage. Unfortunately, then she goes for the blocking strategy and just starts ignoring me. Take a few hits from here, but because I've switched over to the other artifact set, I'm not losing quite as much damage by attacking during her blocking.
The eye sweeps the lands.
See this, go in, take out the pylon thing. Actually, it does say what it says, what it's called at the top of the screen, but I've never read that. And then getting some real decent damage while she's stunned. Fight's going pretty well so far, quite happy with the change. The high point of my damage is now lower, so I'm no longer hitting for like 40k, however, it's more consistent and I'm not losing the buff whenever she goes into her defensive state. Again, move in, managed to get this thing taken down without taking any damage. Almost ran back into the explosions, but then realised that would be a really poor idea. She goes for her sweeping attacks again. I still take a couple of hits from it. They're not that hard hitting, but there's enough of them to make it really dangerous. Go to the next phase, instantly use the heal because as soon as she hits you in this phase, you're going to lose energy. And Arlie with no energy can't heal, so that's the end of it. So this entire fight, I only ever had the chance at one heal for the whole thing. And that's regardless of the fact that Shimano was taking energy before. Even on Gladiator, you see I never get anywhere near having full energy. Granted, part of that is the fact that I'm incapable of dodging everything. I'm just not that good. But as you can see, getting through this phase reasonably well. I have lost a third of my health, but luckily the second half of the phase is pretty much all big, crazy attacks. So she does her one shot, which you can avoid pretty simply. This one, not stuck at the edge of the arena this time. So run in, dodge around that, get a load more good hits in and back. Dodge this. Again, not too bad. She does signal these pretty heavily, unlike the first phase where I tend to take a lot more chip damage. And then it's like, oh, she's teleported away. Cool, she's doing a big attack. It's these triple ones. I'm normally pretty good at dodging these. You just jump all of these, and then the final, when it does the triple, you jump one, then dodge. It might be better to dodge than jump, but I end up messing up anyway. I managed to land perfectly on one of them and take damage. However, her shield is down to almost nothing. I only have to dodge that one attack, and then she's within just health damage again. So shield's down. I know she's dropping out of this phase, and it's just a matter of DPSing her down to the end of the fight. Elemental skill, charge attack, C2 crit, everything, and fight down.
Crumbles before me.
And that was me defeating my old waifu as my new waifu. I haven't given up on Raiden, she's still lovely, but I just thought this would be a really interesting way of kind of breaking in the new character, learning it a little bit better, and giving you something to watch. I hope you enjoyed this. The Farina account is still being played and updated. I'm still gaining Primo Gems, doing the dailies, all that sort of thing. I did record an episode, but the content was not as interesting as I felt it was. My jokes during the Archon quest weren't really hitting in a way that I was like, this is entertaining, and I can't re-record an Archon quest. Like, it's done. So if you want me to chop that down super small to kind of blitz through it and just give you a rundown of what happened and then focus more on the challenges and the fights and that sort of thing, please let me know. I am happy to carry on with it, but I just don't know what direction to take it in general. I feel like I might have steered away from what people were watching it for, and I wasn't sure how to bring it back. So let me know if you've got any input on what you would like to see on the Farina account. It's still there. I'm still waiting for a re-release of Farina, and we've got like, I don't know, 150 to 200 pools now ready to go. So we're looking at maybe C2, if not more, depending on how many more patches go past before she turns up. I expected her 4-6 and she hasn't appeared here, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, let me know, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will see you around. Maybe I'll do some more off Farina account stuff, but we'll see. I just make when I want. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.